Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. The trade deadline has passed. The Lakers have been extremely busy. Are they extremely better? That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, a Monday through Friday, sometimes on Saturdays, sometimes on Sundays, sometimes twice in the same day if big deadline deals are happening. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go to see everything and participate in the community that is very active, particularly, Andy, today, given that the Lakers have been extremely busy again in the deadline. We did, obviously Thursday's show reacting to the acquisitions of Jared Vanderbilt and Malik Beasley and D'Angelo Russell in exchange for a first rounder and Russell Westbrook, a couple other players, Damian Jones, Juan Toscano-Anderson. On Thursday, ahead of the deadline, the Lakers were still busy. They traded Thomas Bryant to Denver for Davon Reed, a 6'5" swingman, who quite frankly hasn't played a ton, and 3 second-round picks. The second-round picks becoming very important because they then turn around and traded Patrick Beverley to the Orlando Magic for Mo Bamba, their center, who has fallen a little bit out of favor there, and 3 second-round picks. So they gave up those 3 second-round picks to Orlando. So now the Lakers have really changed, Andy, the face of this roster with the acquisitions really of Bamba and the 3 from yesterday. It's a very, very different team than it was, Wednesday.
Yeah, it's very different. I think it's a potentially better team. I think it is more legitimately deep than it was before. I think it has a wider variety of skill sets, particularly the ones that were missing before. You have more options with outside shooting. They've gotten bigger on balance. They've gotten younger on balance. So I don't remember who it was, so I apologize for not crediting it, but somebody tweeted out, LeBron, AD, Dennis Schroeder are now the only guys on this roster older than 27. So it's a very different roster in a lot of different ways. And, there's the big picture and there's the small picture. The small micro look at this. There's 27 games left in the season, one of which tonight you're not going to have half of these dudes. Buckle up, Wenyen Gabriel. Buckle up.
But all you guys who wanted to see Wenyen play are going to get that tonight. Although the moves that they did today do potentially free up space, for Gabriel to play a little bit more, not to get down there. We'll get more into this probably after the game tonight. But yeah, I mean, they're going to be shorthanded tonight. So that leaves them with 26, really, if everybody suits up starting Saturday in San Francisco.
So there may not be enough time to get everyone on the same page and make the type of progress that they need to make to get themselves in the play-in mix, maybe even the playoff mix. I do think it helps that the guys from, Minnesota and Utah have, with Beasley and Vanderbilt and Russell, they've played together before because they used to all be Timberwolves last season, or in Angela's case this year. So maybe that helps a little bit, but they're better. If nothing else, I think they are a better team to try to make this push this year. But what I really like most about what they did today, and I like what they did today a lot, they did the thing, Brian, that I've been screaming about for like the last month or so. Start building next year's team now. And they have, if nothing else, put themselves in a position to retain better role players around LeBron James and Anthony Davis to actually have some continuity heading into next season. And let's just say they decide they don't want to keep any of the players that they've gotten over the last 24 hours, and let's throw Rui Hachimura into that mix. They now at least have better players that they could look to package for somebody else. They just have options now that they did not have 48 hours ago. And they look like they are, remains to be seen, but they look, if nothing else, like they are actually taking the process of team building seriously. And that is something they've needed to do. So I'm really happy with what they did today.
And, you look at the players that are out, like this, I think what you're talking about here is really important in terms of, the types of players that they brought in and the decision making that they went with, which is we're not going to preserve our cap space. We're not going to, hoard it and make the big swing and see if we can find something. So like they got players. Jared Vanderbilt is, as a team option for 16 and change.
No, he's under contract. It's Malik Beasley.
I'm sorry, Malik Beasley. Right. Thank you. And Vanderbilt's under contract. Malik Beasley has the team option. Mo Bamba, who they acquired, I believe, has a partially guaranteed deal for next year. And so, like, this is a group.
Actually, now that I think about it too, really quickly, I believe Vanderbilt's is only partially guaranteed too.
But either way, those partial guarantees eat into, unless you renounce them, they eat into your available space. And so, you have a setup where, you are choosing as an organization to value role players and value depth in ways they haven't over the last couple of seasons. You look at who they have traded away this season. In the last couple of weeks, it's Westbrook, it's Kendrick Nunn, Juan Toscano-Anderson, Damian Jones, Thomas Bryant, Patrick Beverley. Of those guys, Kendrick Nunn, Toscano-Anderson, Damian Jones didn't play, or only did if you really needed them to, and nobody wanted them to. Westbrook played a lot, but was still this gigantic issue that sort of sucked the oxygen off the court. It sucked the oxygen out of the locker room, and he was too outsized a player for the role the Lakers needed him to play. Patrick Beverley, big part of the rotation, and Thomas Bryant had moments where he was a big part of it, although it was diminishing. In their place, you have D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura, and Mo Bamba, along with Davon Reed. 5 of those 6 guys are rotation players. So you took guys who were not in the rotation and you replaced them with people who are. Just that, Andy, is a significant improvement over what they had. And so, and that applies both this year and potentially again for next year. I think, both of those things are true. And the other thing I like about what they did, Thomas Bryant, for example, we got a couple people on at Cam Brothers on Twitter, like, why would they trade him? He's played pretty well. That's true. He has, except because he's played well, the chances of the Lakers being able to keep him were pretty low going in. So what do?
Because of CBA rules coming off a veteran's minimum 1-year deal.
They couldn't pay him what he could probably get on the open market.
It's like how they lost Malik Monk.
Correct. So what do? You spin him out for picks to Denver. Denver needs a backup center. They got a good one, somebody that can help them.
I'm happy for Thomas. This is actually a better opportunity for him.
And what do? You then can now turn around and trade picks. You have more picks to go out and trade for Mo Bamba. Essentially, what they did was trade Thomas Bryant for Mo Bamba. That is an upgrade for the Lakers, especially given what they need, which is rim protection. And Bamba, who is not a perfect player, fell out of favor in Orlando. I'm not trying to pretend like it's very similar to the Rui Hachimura thing. There's upside there, but there is a reason he was available for the picks. But what he does do well is stuff the Lakers needed and that Thomas Bryant doesn't, namely rim protection, the ability to play next to Anthony Davis and provide more in the back line. Bryant, for all of his offensive capabilities, was terrible defensively, particularly in the interior, and the Lakers suffered for it and would have been harder to keep playing him. By trading Beverley, now you're releasing some of that logjam so that you have space for D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley and Dennis Schroeder and Austin Reeves. And you don't have to worry about that 3-headed Westbrook, Schroeder, Beverley thing that everybody hated and figuring out how to get, like, the roster has so much more balance. It has so much more defense on it than it did before when you add in Vanderbilt and Bamba. It really is excellent work by Rob Pelinka in the front office to do this. And it basically, at the cost of the players that I mentioned, 1 first-round pick, and I've seen it. I haven't been doing the math. I believe it's 1 second-rounder net to all this. That is
It is
not a
hard to
lot to
keep up
give
with
up.
all the second rounders that have been flying all over the NBA.
It's been
today.
insane. It's a crazy deadline, by the way. We won't get into the details. Like, obviously, with Durant and, the Clippers were super active. The Western Conference is a major arms race. So the Lakers had to do something, or else they were, any chance they had would become, it may not be enough just because of what the West did. But whether you think this is Rob Pelinka pulling a rabbit out of his hat, whether you think and he deserves an apology, I've seen that on the internet, or if you think you maybe don't necessarily get an apology for essentially cleaning up your own mess, they have done an outstanding job at this deadline of making this team better, adding coherent pieces that work for next year, and cleaning up the mess. And it's not completely fixed, and the damage, some of it can't be repaired, but to the extent it can, they did a great job Wednesday and Thursday.
Absolutely.
And then going back to the Hachimura deal.
Yeah. Again, very, very happy with what they did. We're going to have obviously more reaction for Friday. We'll get into even more details about this, thoughts on this. Like Brian said, looking over the entire Western Conference, but we wanted to at least give y'all a taste of what's been happening, and also say thank you for the way you guys have been hanging out with us all season, even during some periods of serious frustration. Wanted to let you know also that Locked On Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel. The Super Bowl is around the corner, and we are stoked about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they are the #1 sports book in America, FanDuel. If you're new to FanDuel, it's even better. I'll explain why in a second, but they got so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. New customers, who I was just talking about, join today. Get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up at FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel has all your favorite bets, from the money line to the point spreads, player props, and you can even combine your bets for a bigger chance at a same game parlay, all on an app that's safe, secure, easy to use. So again, football fans, do not miss out on your last chance. This weekend, place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports book partner of the NFL.
Lakers are a radically remade team, and definitely a better one. So a lot to be optimistic about if you are a Laker fan, to make these last 27 games now much more meaningful than they might have otherwise been. We'll see everybody after the game on Thursday.